Welcome to another episode of our podcast. I'm Elvira Rodrigues, mortgage expert and a real estate investor. It is a pleasure to have you here with us today. Before we dive in, don't forget to follow the channel and hit the notifications bell so you don't miss any episodes. And of course, if you'd like to connect with me on social media, you can find me at Elvira Loans. Today, I am thrilled to welcome one of my business partners, Armando Aviles, a specialist in real estate loans and foreign national programs. Whether you're new to the United States and don't yet have a credit history, or you are someone looking to invest in this land of opportunities, this episode is for you. Hey, Armando, welcome to our podcast today. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you, Elvira. It's a pleasure to be here. Talking about all these amazing loan programs.
Yes.
Thank you for the opportunity to talk to you about them.
So let's start with the first question. We're going to be talking today about foreign national programs, right?
Yes.
So what exactly is a foreign national program?
So a foreign national loan program is a program that's designed for citizens of another country that want to invest in our real estate market.
And for that program, does the person have to have a Social Security?
No, so we're not looking at Social Security and we're not looking at credit. We're not pulling credit.
So no credit score then?
No credit score.
No credit pulling. That's awesome,
Yes.
right? Yes. So do I need to have employment?
No,
this
we're
program?
not. We're actually not looking at income. We're not looking at employment. The ability to repay component is predicated on the cash flow of the subject property.
What is a cash flow then?
So the cash flow is what we mean by that is the rental comparables. So are the potential rents covering the payment is what we're looking for. And ideally, it's going to be at 1-to-1.
Okay, so when you say 1-to-1 is, let's say that the payment is $3,000 so on your mortgage, so the rent has to at least cover that $3,000, correct?
Correct.
Okay, awesome. Can it be a primary home, a secondary home?
So we consider it an investment property because when you think about it, that they're not a citizen of our country, they don't live here full time. Usually, this type of borrower is a business owner that travels between the United States and their home country. So it's not a primary residence per se, even though they do use it and occupy it for the most part when they are here in the States.
Okay.
We consider it an investment property.
Okay. And so for you to define, how much this house is going to rent for, what is it used to prove that?
Good question. So what we do is we use the what's called a rent comp analysis. Mm-hmm. It's a code 1007 on the appraisal. So what the appraiser does is they pull up the rent comparables in the area for similar properties. And that is the amount that we use to calculate what the actual DSCR is. Okay,
so then you order the appraisal because the appraisal is the value of the property to make sure that what they are buying is worth what is on the contract.
Correct.
But besides that, we do have to add the 1007 schedule, which is going to prove how much the house can rent for.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, the rent comp analysis allows us to calculate the DSCR.
Okay. And what document specific is required for that? Because I've heard that there is a kind of specific visa that needs to the client needs to have.
Correct. So they do have to be here on an approved visa. The most common visa that you'll see is your B1, B2.
Which is a tourist visa.
Which is a tourist visa, correct. Yes.
Okay. What if they have other visas? Is any other visas allowed on that program or just the B1, B2?
We do have a list of other visas that are allowed, but like I said, the most common is the B1, B2.
Okay. And the person can live here and have a foreign national program or no?
No, like I said, so for the most part, these are citizens of another country. So they don't live here full time.
Okay.
They can live here part of the year as they travel back and forth. A lot of times these foreign nationals will want to purchase a home for one of their kids that are coming to school here. Mm-hmm. That's another popular use, of this loan program. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they don't live here full time because they're not U.S. citizens.
Okay. And is there any seasoning for that visa?
No, there isn't. We don't have a
Okay.
seasoning requirement for the B1 beer.
So whenever they are going to do the loan application, then they do have to put their address from the other country.
Right.
Do they have to have a bank account here to buy this property?
They do. They do have to have a bank account because the payment gets auto-debited
Okay.
out of their bank account. It's got to be a FDIC insured.
Is there any seasoning for that account to be established here?
We don't have seasoning per se on the account, but we are going to season the funds to close and reserves for 60 days.
So if they transfer money, let's say from Brazil or Mexico, whatever it is, the country, and they transfer within the 60 days, then we have to source where that money came from, right?
Right. So when I say 60 days, that's total. So let's say that you have an account in Brazil or Mexico, whatever your home country is, and you're transferring the funds to close for this transaction. It has to be in the United States 10 days before closing.
Okay, so usually the paperwork or the bank statements or
Right.
the wire transfers or the company that they used to send, like Brazil uses Wise to transfer money here, right? So everything's going to be in Portuguese. So we would have then to translate the bank statements from that country, the wire transfer, and then show the account receiving here, the total.
Correct. We do have to have if the bank statements aren't in English, we do have to have them professionally translated, and we have to convert the
exchange.
the
money.
exchange. We have to calculate the conversion rate.
Okay, so usually the translator will do that as well.
Well, the translator will translate the bank statements. The underwriter will pull up whatever the exchange rate is for that particular day.
Okay.
And they'll make that calculation as part of the underwrite.
Awesome. Yeah, that's good. But if they actually start the process and they already have a bank account here and they have all the money here in English for 2 months, then we actually have to translate anything, right? So they could
Exactly,
start
and-
bringing the money, depositing, let it season, and then buy, so we don't have to translate.
Right, and you see that a lot. It's not uncommon because for this loan is for an individual that goes back and forth travels back and forth between their home country and the United States. Oftentimes, they do have a bank account already established here.
Yeah, I have done several where we had to translate, but it's not a big deal either.
No, it's not.
There's a cost to it. Yes, definitely. There's a cost to
Right.
it to translate with a certified person from the bank and so forth, but it's not an arm and a leg either. So,
Right. There's professional translators online that you can get to do that for you.
so the main documents that we're gonna need from their country, is there a list that you can think right away?
Right. So we're going to look at their visa, obviously, and we're going to look at their passport.
Okay.
That's it.
All right. And then the bank statements,
Bank
right?
statements and yeah.
Do we have to have any credit letters from their country for anything?
We do not. We don't require any credit letters. We're not looking for a foreign credit report, and we're not pulling credit here because they don't have a Social Security because they're foreign national.
Yeah, because I have come across some programs as foreign nationals that they
Right.
would like to pull international credit, which cost a lot.
Right,
and
right.
it really does nothing for it because, it's a different scoring, I guess.
Right. And I am aware that there are some programs out there that require it. Ours does not.
Is there any reserves required?
We do require 6 months reserve.
So explain to our guests what is 6 months reserves.
So 6 months reserves is 6 months of the payment. So for
Okay.
example, if the payment is $1,000, the 6 months reserves would be $6,000.
Okay, and that can be left in their bank account in their country, or it has to be here?
Correct. That can stay in their home country.
Okay. We just have to translate again if we're going to
Right,
live
and
there.
that's part of the same bank statement translation that we're getting for the down payment. So
Okay.
it's funds to close and reserves.
Okay,
It's all usually in one piece. So
awesome. One important thing that I forgot to ask in the beginning, but we can ask now, is how much is the minimum down payment for that program?
minimum down payment is 30%.
30%.
Right.
So if the house is worth $100,000, they need to put $30,000.
Correct. And the thing about this foreign national program is designed for the borrower that it's designed for 30% down and 6 months reserves is not a problem. They're usually high net worth individuals that usually are business owners that travel, or like I mentioned, they want to buy a home for their kid to go to school here somewhere. Okay. So the 30% down and 6 months reserves is not something that's unreasonable for this type of borrower.
Okay, I have a question. So if they buy this property and suddenly they say, oh, I don't like the investment. How long is the seasoning time that they could sell that property?
Well, there are prepayment penalties with this type of loan. They have the option to buy down the prepayment penalty anywhere from 5 years to 1 year, or no prepayment penalty. It just depends on what their appetite is for that.
So if they choose, an example, to have no prepayment so they can pay it off at any time, most likely their interest rate is going to be higher.
Right. So the prepayment penalty is going to definitely affect the interest rate.
Okay.
The higher the prepayment, the longer the prepayment penalty, the lower the cost to the rate.
Okay. Can you give us an example? Let's say, 1 year versus 2 versus 3?
So it's I can't give you like an exact dollar amount because it depends on the scenario. But I can tell you that definitely that a 3-year prepayment penalty is going to be a better interest rate that's at a better cost than buying it out.
Okay.
Right. And usually, the lender's going to want you to have the borrower to hang on to the property for at least 6 months.
At least 6 months. Okay.
Right.
So if they sell it before, it's not good. So they probably have...
There's a recapture period
for that.
Yeah.
So let's say that we have a borrower or a client that is, they have several properties, or one property or several in their country. When they do the loan application here, do they list all those properties or not?
No, we're not considering any of their real estate in their home country in this transaction at all.
So mainly on the loan application, we're going to put their home country where they live. We have to have the visa, the income, the assets documents like bank statements, the translations and all that. But we just list where they live. We put no income, no employment, and then just answer the questions about,
the declarations.
Declarations.
It's correct. And it's a really simple application. There's not a lot of moving parts on these loans, which is one of the benefits of it. It's really attractive loan program because we're not looking at income. We're not looking at employment. We're not looking at the borrower's real estate in their home country. We're mainly looking at the assets, the funds to close and reserves, and the property, right? and the property, and the cash flow of the property.
Can the property have any kind of TLC, tender loving care? But
so very minimal. We're not looking. That's usually these properties they don't.
Okay.
I rarely run across a situation where the property needs any maintenance type things that are going to, deferred maintenance type.
And I guess that it makes sense because they are living in another country.
Right.
So how they're going to schedule all that? Of course, we can help with, people that can do things here, but also for the kind of loan, it's not a rehab or a fix and flip.
No, it's not a fix and flip or rehab.
It has to be a livable home.
Right.
Yeah.
And usually what happens is the borrower rents it out via short-term rental or, different type of rental vehicles. So when they're not here, it's actually income producing for them.
So they can also hire property management here.
Exactly. I see that a lot.
Do the long-term or mid-terms or even the short-term.
Exactly. Awesome. I see that a lot. Usually they do have a property management company that comes in and maintains it for them.
Talking about that, I think really the short-term or the mid-term is great for those programs because they can double their income.
Yeah, exactly. It's a great investment opportunity because not only are you investing in the real estate market, which is super hot, it also becomes income generating for you.
Yeah, and also because the question on the short term. So whenever you do the rental verification, do you guys check against Airbnb if they are in the beginning think, okay, I'm going to do Airbnb on this or short term?
It depends really on the area. So if they're buying, let's say, a property on the beach or a cabin, Broken Bow, for those of you that are familiar with that there's big short-term rental areas, then they will look at those.
Yeah. And I agree with you that right now is the time to buy.
Yeah, definitely.
Actually, I always say to everybody, it's always time to buy, right? Interest rates are high. House prices are a little lower. It's time to buy because you can buy with a higher rate, refinance later.
Exactly.
And if rates are low, buy because you're going to cash flow, which is
Exactly.
awesome. And, you're still going to gain on the value of the appreciation of the property,
Right.
right?
And your savvy investor is going to know that the real value is the appreciation of your property.
Exactly,
because,
We actually had properties that appraised, $100,000 more in 1 year, from 1 year to the other.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is a great investment.
Definitely.
And I was talking to some clients and some prospects, and I have properties in Brazil, but really and truly, I rather invest here because if I invest here, let's say that I have a cash flow of $1,000 a month, right? Mm-hmm. That is going to be probably 5,000 to 7,000 reais in Brazil, but you can never get the same amount of rental there for the same property.
Right.
So I think it's really a great investment to put the investment here because then if you have several properties, you can actually have a good retirement in your country.
Yeah, definitely. And when you think about the simplicity of the program, it's there's not a lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
And for the benefit that you get out of it from an investment standpoint, it's definitely a program it's really great for your foreign nationals that are looking to invest in our real estate market.
Okay. Another question is, I've heard somebody say something about a visa waiver. What does that mean?
Great question. Yes. So there's a program called the Visa Waiver Program, and I believe there's 20-something countries that are a part of it. So if your borrower, lives in one of those countries, they don't even have to have a visa. All we're looking for is their passport. I see that a lot with Canadians.
Okay.
And Australians that are investing in our real estate market.
Do you know if Portugal is in it? I need a
don't,
list of those.
But I will definitely
countries.
give you the link
Yes.
so that you can look at that because definitely from a marketing standpoint, marketing to investors in those countries is definitely a great idea. It'll pay off for you.
Exactly.
But you'll see, I see a lot of Canadians that are investing in our real estate market.
Okay, awesome. Anything else about the program that you advise or that you say, okay, this is the best way to do or not? I don't know. Is there anything like that?
What I will mention, though, is from a marketing standpoint, is immigration attorneys. If you know any immigration attorneys that you can partner with, they're a great source of potential borrowers because they're the ones that are helping your borrowers get the visas. So, and groups, if you ever get in those circles with immigration attorneys, I definitely would recommend that you market this program to them.
So if the client lives in another country and they plan to invest here or one day move here, I think the best option is, okay, do you have the money? Go ahead and invest now with a foreign national program while you're in your country. Test the market with a rental and everything. And if one day you decide to come to this country, then you can, you already have your house here.
I agree. That's a great point. The immigration is a process. The process is a process. And a lot of times that starts with a tourist visa or a visitor's visa to where you come here temporarily and you go back and forth. And if your immigration status changes, then, it changes. But you're already a homeowner.
Yeah. And if it's a person that does business in different countries, right, they actually could, and they have to go, let's say every 6 months or every 3 months, if they do Airbnb on that property, they actually can block out those dates so they can use the property when they are here, and somebody else is paying for that house for them,
That's a great point, and you see that a lot. I mean, that's really one of the purposes of these types of financing is to allow your foreign investor to really not only invest in our real estate market, but have it become an income generating vehicle for them.
Well, Armando, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to come here today and talk to us about this program and explain. I think that helps a lot of our investors, in other country, and I think it's a great program. Thank you so much.
No problem. I appreciate it. I always take the opportunity to educate, and I really appreciate the opportunity for you allowing me to educate your listeners on this amazing program.
Yes. Thank you. And that brings us to the end of another episode of our podcast. Don't forget to follow the channel and hit the notifications bell so you don't miss any episodes. If you have any questions or you want to dive deeper into this topic, feel free to send us a message and connect with me on social media at Elvira Loans. Until the next episode, and remember, the path of your dream starts with the first step. See you soon.